But seeing her all the way down to F, it's clear you just don't understand what's going on with the utility of these abilities, and you don't really play these games a lot. So high level, my ass. All right, I'm taking over this tier list from now on. Hey y'all, how you doing today? So we have a tier list for ZIO in the Magic Scrolls. This is not my tier list. This was curated by Deslands, or however you say it. So if you want, go ahead and give a big shout out to Deslands in the official Discord and thank them for bringing us this tier list. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all the characters that they've ranked. I'm going to look at their abilities and just pretty much say whether I agree or disagree if they should be that high. The only reference that this person has for putting them here is this is exactly what I was told. Very, very high level player made this tier list. I'm not kidding, exact word for word. So let's jump into it. I see a few things that I would agree with right off the bat, but for now, for those that don't know, these types of units, Xavius, Diagram, and Gallistos here, these are the only 3 units in the game that have this extra passive that increases team effectiveness based on whatever their attributes are. Like Gallistos is going to be good for physical, Xavius is going to be good for magic, Diagram is going to be good for healing. Essentially what they are is just like a staple team leader for your team. If you want a physical team, you're going to want Gallistos. If you want a magical damage team, you're going to want Xavius. If you want a healer, you're pretty much just going to want Diagram, but you know what it is what it is. So I agree that all 3 of these should be an S. I see Diagram down here in the A. We'll get to that whenever we get to that, but from top to left, I see Xavius here. He increases the magic damage your team can do and decreases the physical damage that your team takes. He puts down like pools of lava, sort of like Craig or whatever his name was from Heroes War Counterattack. Pretty good unit. I would say he's an S tier. I would say all 3 of these guys are S tier, but especially Xavius. I see he has Diagram in the A. It's totally fine. So this is just like man over time, a shield in the very beginning of the fight, and then all damage straight up is reduced by 10%. That's amazing. That's like something that puts people in the S tier just in of itself. But on top of that, she has a lot of heals too. So if you needed a healer or an attack speed buffer or a movement speed buffer or a mana recovery buffer, this is going to be a great unit to do that. She also has a bind, crowd control, and multiple passives. This is also S tier. I wish I could move that. But then again, I am not high level player, so what do I know? Since I've already gone over the first 2, it's pretty obvious that Gallistos is the last of the 3 that's going to increase the physical damage that your entire team does. So if you want to build a physical damage team, you're going to need this guy, and he will be in S tier. Okay, now the next guy that we see in the S tier is Rachas. So this dude is just an ultimate super tank that whenever he dies, he comes back even stronger. So that's pretty cool. Tanks are very helpful for getting through a lot of parts of these games where you get stuck. If you're getting smacked down really quick in the beginning of a match, then a tank can really help turn that around. So I suppose in terms of tanks, he's the first one that we've looked at out of these 4 characters, and he's an S tier tank. Next in A tier for damage dealers, we got Fonzefe. That's a pretty cool name, I guess. Her gimmick is doing cold damage and applying stacks of frost to freeze the enemy. The thing that I don't really like about frost attacks is usually you can't freeze bosses, but she does seem to have some pretty high multipliers, and she decreases enemy attack speed, which probably does work on bosses, so I could see why she would be an A tier pick. Next is Ruta Mila, and I like her kit. Basically, as she tanks and takes damage, she applies debuffs to the enemies that are attacking her, and her ultimate is just a big swingy attack stun explosion, so that's cool too. I could see why she would be in the A tier for sure. Now this is where you got me confused with Narfume being in the low A. I guess I'm not sure what this tier list is based off, whether it's PvE or PvP, but if this was a PvP tier list, the Narfume would definitely be at the top of the tier. They can take enemies and enchant them to make them attack their own teammates, essentially making it a 7v3 for a few seconds whenever she uses this ability. I could see how that would be useless on boss fights and stuff like that, but for PvP, man, that is some god tier shit. I don't understand that one at all. Now, whenever it comes to magic damage dealers, Sylvia is probably going to be one of the best because she has incrementally increasing attack damage as the battle goes on. She can also increase her own crit damage by 20% just for a regular passive. Her ultimate says it deals 80% damage to enemies 3 times, which means if there's only one enemy like a boss, it'll hit that boss all 3 times, and then it burns them as well. I could definitely see her being some of the highest damage in the game, and I mean, it's a pretty good model too, you know what I mean? May's okay. Usually people have a super stigma against people that deal damage to themselves, and she deals a big chunk of damage to herself whenever she does her ultimate. She's also got Taunt going for her, which depending on the game is the best or the worst. For example, Heroes War counterattack Taunt just destroyed the meta, versus in Skylanders Taunt is completely useless, so I'm not sure how that plays out in this game yet. She's also returning the damage received up to a maximum of 150% of her own attack, so you can expect harder enemies to take a bigger hit from the counterattack as well. Very good. Musil is something. She's a support, but all she does is just shield a bunch. She does a lot of shielding, and she also relies on some of your teammates dying in order to be effective, because she is more effective if the enemies have more units on the field than you do, which means you would already be at a disadvantage at that point anyways. I doubt she's going to completely turn around a match with that ability. Okay, but she's an A. Now this is really starting to get questionable whenever we're all the way down to the B and we see Tomi down here. It makes me wonder if this guy is even really that far, because there's no way he has all of these characters so widely regarded that he would just know where to place every single one of them on this list. She is an area of effect healer and attack buffer. So not only is she a support for healing, she is also able to increase the damage that your entire team can do. She can also mind control enemies. She also attaches to an enemy at the very beginning of the match and helps reduce their mana, and she throws additionals into the match anyway. So anybody that has Tomi as a main that agrees with this rating, can you tell me why? Because I'm not sure why she would be that low. Mitchell here comes with a lot of stigmas that I don't like. He thrives per however many teammates of yours are already dead, and not by a lot. So that's not even that good if your entire team is already dead, and it increases his attack by 40%. He also deals damage to enemies incrementally based on how many he's killed. So if you really want the most damage out of him, you have to kill an enemy and then kill another enemy and another enemy just with him. Maybe he could be good if you built him up with like 4 supports or something, but all in all, this does not seem like a very good character. The only ability here that I even like is this one that decreases the enemy defense by 15% for only 3 seconds. That is a very minor defense break, and it is a very short amount of time. If I was ranking this character, he would definitely be in the F. This is for sure placed too low. This is like a Bernard attack buffing, attack speed buffing, start the battle with a big zone where enemies aren't even good inside of the zone, and then when taking damage greater than 10% of your max HP, it recovers 20% of your maximum HP. This is just so good, and she has heals. Why is she this low? B? B minus? Behind the fairy little chibi pink hair gnome girl? Dude, no shot. No way. No way. Yep, and this guy Morrison is going to be our Susano for Mythic Heroes, our Bouvier for Rage of Destiny. This is the guy that teleports to the backline, and then people that are retarded teleport them to enemies in the backline that just stomp on them like tanks or bruisers, and then they complain, "Oh, the guy is too squishy, he's not even good," and you're just like terrible at strategy. So I'm sure. Okay, yeah. Seeing this type of character way down here, and plus all the multipliers are above 200%. So there's no way you can try and say it's because he doesn't do a lot of damage. Look at his base attack and his multipliers. You know what? I'm starting to see a pattern here for sure. Hey, you know what, y'all? I was going to keep going with this tier list, but I saw F. I saw who's on F. I glanced down. I spoiled it for myself. We're going straight to F tier. Where is she? Where is she? Tumia. Well, I guess if Tumia's F tier, I picked the wrong fucking main. I picked the wrong fucking main, man. And you know what? For the most part, I would agree she's simple. She has one ability that has a 300% multiplier and a 2-second stun. But what you didn't notice is that she increases the attack and movement speed of your entire team, and she decreases the attack of the entire enemy team, thus essentially outclassing enemies of the same level just with this ability. I'll give you the Pilgrim of Truth is just a straight flat HP increase, and that was a cop-out ability. If that was something else, I would consider putting her in the S. But seeing her all the way down to F, it's clear you just don't understand what's going on with the utility of these abilities, and you don't really play these games a lot. So high level, my ass. All right, I'm taking over this tier list from now on. So what's the lesson to take away from today, guys? Don't trust a tier list on a game that has barely been out for over a week. Don't trust tier lists from people in general, because most of the time, if the game isn't at least 2 years old, whoever's talking about it doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. The only way to make a tier list work is for us all to pick a main character and to build a profile, an encyclopedia profile for every character, and put them all together and compare and analyze data and not just try and get clickbait views for the word tier list. Because we all see where that gets you. Desklands. You piece of shit. I'm doing it. Xavius S tier, Diogorim S tier, Gallistos S tier, Bueno A tier, Juan S tier, Bono A tier, Muzel D tier, Tumia D tier, Petnak A tier, Kenta B tier, Fonzefe B tier, Grachas S tier, Inca S tier, Celsius and Fahrenheit D tier, Mitchell F tier, White A tier, Tommy S tier, Maryland C tier, Narfume S tier, ZIO B tier, Sumima B tier, Charles A tier, Me A tier, Sylvia A tier, Morrison A tier, C tier, Ruta Mila S tier. And that's it. My list is probably going to be better than this guy's list. So you know what? Thanks a lot. What a shame and a pity and a disappointment. If you're gonna make a tier list, you better be it's sure goddamn good. Cause I'm coming for you tier list makers. And I'm tearing you down. I'm making a new tier list, by the way. It's gonna be called the Spread Web. Fucking trademark, don't steal. But other than that, y'all, that's gonna do it for me today. And I'll see y'all later. Bye.